Hi there, it's Zoe-Anna. If you really want to learn how to level up your life, you should be listening to the Time to Shine Today podcast with my friend Scott Ferguson.
Time to shine today, Varsity Squad. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode where I get to sit down and have an awesome conversation with my Australian friend, Zoe-Anna Bell. She's a relationship and intimacy alchemist. The knowledge nuggets she's going to drop, not just so much on the intimacy part, but just really building relationships and being true to yourself is fantastic. So make sure you break out the notebooks, you sit back, carve out a little bit of time because Zoe is just fantastic. So without further ado, here's my friend, Zoe-Anna Bell. Hey, Time to Shine podcast squad. It's Scott Ferguson, and I am super stoked to have my Aussie friend, Zoe-Anna Bell, and it's 2 a.m. right now, and she's doing this for us. So just like I said in the intro, get your notebooks out because she's going to share some solid knowledge nuggets with you. So get ready to go deeper into the chasms of your heart and soul with words that touch and tease, leaving you raw and wanting more. This is Zoe. She's a relationship and intimacy coach facilitating connections to your true self, raw feminine power and flow state mastery. She cultivates excellence while supporting evolving relationships. She's a 3-time published author, and get this, a #1 bestseller with the little snippet that I just read to you from her book, Raw. She has 3 more books ready to rock. She lives in Australia with 2 beautiful boys and travels globally running workshops and retreats. And Zoe, thank you for joining our squad. And if you could, please say hello and tell us your favorite color and why.
Oh, well, thank you for having me on. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. What is my purple? There you go. What is my purple favorite color? Purple, but it's more of a reddish purple, it's like an in-between a deep red and a purple.
Gotcha. I've seen your hair a little bit that color before, I believe. It looks good.
Yeah,
Maybe just a little bit.
It changes colors.
Gotcha. So let's get to the origins of you. Let's tell us a little bit from the start and bring us forward, and we'll work right through.
So the origins of where I originated from?
Yes, please.
So background, growing up in England and Wales, and then I came across to Australia 21 years ago. So Australia's home, and I was I call myself more of a Celt that got on a plane and never went back. So I've been back once for a week, and that's it in 21 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so go ahead.
So it feels like, when people say to me, where are you from? It's a really interesting concept. It's, well, wherever I'm living in that moment. And I really feel it's, when you find that place in your heart, then you can live absolutely anywhere in the world and make it home.
Okay. And what made you really love Australia then? I've been there a couple times, so I don't know why I would love it, but
yeah. I guess at the time, I had a really colorful past and a lot of different things I shifted through. And it was really about me reinventing and having a clean slate when I came over here. And I was still sorting through a lot of the stuff when I came. I came when I was a nurse. So I knew when I had my nursing that would give me opportunity to be able to travel, and it gave me more freedom. I was a little bit done with the whole class system in the UK.
Okay.
And I really needed a shift. My sister was here at the time, and I loved it. It felt very much, the extended family where your friends are very much your family. And I guess that had been my whole growing up. I'd always seen friends as being an extension of my family, and it's very much like that here in Australia. And plus the weather, the beaches, all of that.
Yeah, you seem like you would connect with that energy with people, and like you just said, the weather in the area. That's why I kind of migrated from Detroit, Michigan down to South Florida for the same
Right.
reasons. I live like the ocean's right there, and I did the same thing kind of. So what was your aha moment to want to help people awaken and unleash their human potential?
Really from myself of hitting rock bottom quite a few times. The first one being in 2003. And then I had a massive turnaround in 2010 after leaving my marriage and going on this path of I really need to start, can I swear in here, sorting my shit out.
Absolutely.
I really needed to start. I started to see how there was a pattern of traumatic events, which really, when you have that happen, it's like you get slapped in the face enough times to then go, right, I actually need to wake up and change me. And it was the first time really where I really gave myself permission to be guided into that inner work. And I started to see that there was a pattern. And then beautiful souls came into my life, taught me the meditation and taught me other things to assist me with finding myself and finding moments of peace from feeling very, very lost for a long, long time and not really understanding how to manage that energy that was in my body. And, there was a lot of numbness and pushing down. So from my journey of overcoming my things myself and completely turning my life around, where people, when I grow up, who I grew up with, a lot of them don't recognize me now. And it's, being able to then guide others how they can do that in themselves is what drives me and what inspires me.
Okay. And did you, during this time of turmoil, did you seek help? You said you had some guidance, and what did you do? Because we're all about kind of leveling up here at Time to Shine Today. And I'm always telling people to put, to find that person. How did you attract that person into your life or people?
I had people that would come into my life from early 2000, and they were complete strangers, but they would see me in a crowd and they were like angels in disguise. They'd come up and say, I can see what's happening with your energy. Can I do some healing on you? So I had no concept of how disconnected or emotionally dysfunctional I was. I was in survival mode and doing everything that I could. So it was within layers. People, is the one defining moment. There's many, I guess, when I hit rock bottom with post-traumatic stress disorder. And from a massive trauma, and I started having obviously professional help for that with the EMDR for the eyes, and then the bodybuilding. That was a big thing for me, really getting in and learning how to channel my aggression and my energy through weights and training. And it was really powerful foundation for me. Anyone listening, it gave me that discipline and being able to see that I could start changing my body first.
Very good.
Which was more tangible.
Did you ever compete in the bodybuilding?
Yeah, I competed. I was taken under the wing by they became my brothers at the gym, and they had all competed. So I competed in AMB. So they're Australian National Bodybuilders and IMBA. The first time I competed, I was so lean. I had 3 or 5% body fat. Sure. They were drug testing me. They were like, have you had glenbuterol? And I was like, no, I don't know what that is.
Right. T3,
glenbuterol, all that. Right. And then I was back in the gym the next day saying, right, I'm training for next year to then be more of a figure shape. So I did that. I competed in the nationals and came second in Australia.
Okay.
Qualified for the Worlds, which was cancelled. So I guess that for me, I had a lot of things in life of disappointment. So I had a lot of getting so far, and then that next phase never happened. And now I can actually see that they were these defining points of these beautiful lessons for me to really realized that there is no such thing as disappointment. They were all things to assist me to grow, to ignite that passion, that when when that switch is on, it never turns off.
Right.
And the only thing you can be disappointed about is not stepping into your full potentiality.
Right. It's I always say on the podcast, or in my little knowledge nuggets I drop, that
Yeah.
sin is just a Greek word for missing the mark. So when you're not getting to that full potential, then, or just living in that uncomfortable feeling, you're really not growing.
Yep.
So that's fantastic. I'm gonna digress a little bit, but I competed at national level, for years within bodybuilding and whatnot. And what did you think about being basically in your underwear in front of hundreds and possibly thousands of people doing what what we did?
Well, there was only 2,000 people. I guess that it was actually a really big defining point for me. I was bulimic at the time, so I had been bulimic for 16 years, and I defined the way that I looked from my exterior. But what it did teach me, I love to dance, I love to move, I love to create. So that's where I started, like, creating my own choreography.
Right.
And then getting up there and being able to perform. Even though I had a fear of speaking, and I had a fear and I was nervous, I actually had a gift of being able to perform. So it got me to face my fear, basically, of having this tiny, what it's like, these tiny bikini on.
Sure.
And it stopped me from, I remember cheating one night when I was dieting, and I'm like in the kitchen and I'm standing on a chair, and my boyfriend at the time is like, "What are you doing?" And I'm eating dry biscuit, like dry wheat bix, in the middle of the night. And he's like, "You're gonna get on the stage in your bikini." I was like, "Oh."
Right.
So yeah, I mean, the dream tan and all of the pro tan. I mean, like,
Sure.
I laugh now when I look back on it.
I know. The protocol that I learned from just going through the prep stages is, inch by inch, it's a cinch. You can't do it all at once. You know what I'm saying? So that's what my coach used to say: inch by inch, it's a cinch; by the yard, it's hard. So that 16 weeks or 14 weeks that you're prepping really instilled in me a lot. I mean, I have a military background, but it really instilled in me just, how to break things down. And that's what's great about that sport.
Yeah.
I haven't really interviewed anybody that's ever competed before, so that's awesome for you to share.
I have to admit, I loved it. I do love the group thing. It's like something that's so ingrained into me.
Sure.
That it, and the whole physiology of it, I find it very, very fascinating.
So you went with your coaching to kind of the feminine side of things.
Yep.
What took you in that direction?
So I work with both men and women. And it was more about, again, it was my healing of learning to love my body. It was learning how to release sexual trauma and different trauma in my body, which has then revealed the path of me being able to relate to people on a really deep and intimate level. So when I left my marriage, my body was very shut down sexually, as I wasn't honoring how I was feeling on the inside. And my ex-husband's a beautiful man, but my body was saying no, and I ignored that. And I had a lot of shame that I felt, a lot of guilt, a lot of shame of my body as a woman. So then that started opening that door of, then I would almost be able to feel it in other women of what they were going through without even having to say it. And because you can understand it, you have this deep emotionality of connection with them. And it opens up this massive doorway for inner healing for them to start loving their bodies. And I think I was meant to do it from a very, very young age. I mean, like at 3 and 4 years old, I mean, I was highly explorative. I was like really into everything. I wanted to know about anything that was sexy or anything. So it's so funny when I look back on it. My mom's very much, she can understand, it was my natural design coming through as a child from a very, very young and curious age.
Wow. That's amazing. You really look back on your journey, and then your family seemed like they're very supportive as well,
Hmm.
because they're seeing you go towards what you were kind of meant to do. Um,
Yeah.
so you said people had approached you before and kind of felt the bad energy. Do you feel yourself paying that forward now when you see women that maybe their energy's off? I mean, do you approach them and start up a conversation, not to get business, but just to really see if you could, help them level up?
I find on the whole, it's mostly been men approaching men. Women, I'll be honest, we're running in the opposite direction. And what I've actually understood from that is it's that being comfortable and embodying your sensuality, which we all have. And I think some women can feel because they're feeling uncomfortable in their body, they can feel some form of threat with it. So I've had to learn in myself of really being able to meet women where they're at. Does that make sense? It's like,
Absolutely.
so it's, there's this comparison, and we have it so much in the media, and, if you look a certain way. And so it's been a real learning for me as well so I find the women that are usually drawn to my work are usually women that get on well with men, or have been, the tomboy. They're stepping more into their femininity. They're doing a lot of physical training and things like that. So I'm sort of drawn, but now that's sort of opening up with people. But it's not something I say to people. I sense in them.
That's
And
what I was asking
being
you. We got to sense their energy, their
yeah.
vibration,
And
correct?
they just start telling you, like, without even
They
asking, they will
spill.
start opening up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I can feel your energy now. I think we're kind of cut from that same sheath where people will do the same thing as me. Once they get past the whole 6'1", 260-pound big guy, then they're like, oh, I'm inviting. And you have
yeah.
that energy. And that's one reason why I really wanted to get you on here to kind of share. Zoe, what do you think makes a great coach then in any line of work? What do you think makes a great coach?
A coach that is going to have your back is meaning they will call out bullshit. It's something I stand by. It's that you're willing to do whatever it takes to be that belief in that person that maybe they don't see. And that doesn't mean about being fluffy. I like to have an approach that's it's non-judgmental, it's compassionate, it is badass, it's to the point, and it's transparent. So it's getting people to see what they can't see. And I feel people are really ready for that, and they're really hungry for that. And then it gives them permission that there is no such thing as shame or blame or guilt.
Right.
And as a coach, also a big part is showing up in myself, taking my coach hat off, or if there is such a thing, and showing up and being real so people can understand and relatable. So often in my sessions, it's about them, but I will also open up something that maybe I still haven't been honest about. So I'll call out my own stuff as well in the session, and it really makes people feel comfortable
It
to go
does.
deeper.
It
Mm-hmm.
does, because you're showing them that you're flawed as well, I feel, and that
Yep.
you are a human being and not always a human doing. And when you're
Yeah.
you're there and you're vibing with them, and that makes a great coach. I love it. And I love that you said be the belief in the person that they're trying to be and really help them level up. That's fantastic. Zoe,
Mm-hmm.
what would you, if you were to write a letter or be able to go back in time and meet the 20-year-old Zoe, what would you tell her?
Oh, this like brings up emotions. Wow. I would tell her that she's beautiful, and to not base who she is on other people's opinions,
Love that. Beautiful.
and to set firm boundaries. I was a slow learner when it came to, I had a lot of teachers, and I was a slow learner when it came to men. And I love men, I love women. I didn't have very good boundaries, and I found it very hard to say no. So really kicking her in the ass a little bit with love and say, honor your no.
And have the firm boundaries. I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so you've had a lot of experience from different platforms of life, we call them, or different
Yeah.
pillars of life. What's the one thing Zoe knows for sure?
That everything that I've experienced, I chose it before I came back. I feel honored. I feel grateful for everything I've been through, as I would not be able to show up and simply be myself in this way had I not fully experienced or tasted, digested, marinated in the wealth of stuff that I've experienced.
Gotcha. I love it. And so you're in a arena where it can feel kind of risque and people will be a little bit closed off, but you're great at opening them up. What is there any question that you wish people would ask you but never do?
About me personally, or about them, to go deeper?
There you go.
Oh.
Because I watch your videos.
Do you have one for me? Like, ask me one. Ask me one.
No.
That you want to ask.
Okay.
I get asked a lot of questions.
What's your definition of a life well lived? And the reason why I'm asking that is a lot of people see you, they see themselves. And that's a question that I was going to follow up that I've been wanting to ask you for a while, because I follow you. You know, I see what you're putting out, and it's very impactful. So what is your definition of a life well lived?
To juice the fuck out of every now moment, and to each and every moment that comes up, even the emotions, have the most beautiful love affair with it. Even if it's, you feel shame, embellish it, like make love to it, feel into it. So then you can transmute, you can shift beyond that. And I feel we don't give ourselves permission to feel a certain way. We pretend and we posture, and it's time to take that mask off. And no, the only person that judges ourselves is ourselves. And
sure.
If we were to remember, like, I feel like I'm 3 years old now with the wisdom of a 48-year-old. So that's probably quite dangerous to some people. But it's like, if we could all remember to be kids and be curious,
that's what
life would be so much more exciting.
That's what people that know me personally, they're like, Fergie, and you're like 48, but you act like you're 12. And that's me. I don't take life seriously. And I was told, and I did a whole podcast on this, and I saw it in a movie, but and people have said it, but don't take life too seriously. You'll never make it out alive. So it's like, that's how I just start living. I'm just like, whatever. I live with the duality of, I don't really give a shit what other people think about me, as long as I'm not hurting them in any way, shape, or form. I could care less about that. But also, I want to serve as many people as I can. So I like that duality of stuff. So
there's one more thing to add this. I always get told, people always say this to me a lot, and I've stopped listening. They're like, "You're so deep, Zoe, you're so deep." And I'm like, and I used to go, "Oh, okay, I'll stop being deep." And now I'm like, no, you need to get the fuck down there and like join me. And when I'm ready, I'll come up. My deepness is my stillness and my silence, and that's like sacred. So if people are listening and you get told you're too deep, no, enjoy
keep
that.
Going.
Keep going. That's the juicy stuff, and then you get to bring it up to the surface and share it when you want.
I love that. All right, as we kind of wind things down, we're going to go through a lightning round. okay?
Ooh,
So
excited.
you and I could talk for 15, 20 minutes on each one of these,
I know.
but you got 10 seconds. Okay, and I'm just
Okay.
gonna cut you. I'm kidding.
Okay.
Let's try to keep it at 5 to 10 seconds. We're ready, set, go. What's the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
Own your shit.
Love it. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
Stillness, meditation each and every morning, looking at my day before I start my day.
Love it. That's awesome. And I do the same thing. We're just parallel in different time zones. Okay, other than your own website and of course timetoshinetoday.com, that's my shameless plug, what's another internet resource you like to go to level up your life, to really feel good, or
Oh, I do love listening to Bentinho Mazzara. I do like him. I dig him.
Okay, so your go-to book when you're feeling doldrums, you need to lift yourself up, it's sitting on your shelf, you know that you can pick it up at any time. It's kind of like that security blanket. What is that book?
My second book, it's on erotic poetry, and it's sensual and it's juicy.
Awesome. I'll wait for my free copy.
Yeah, I'll get you one.
Awesome. All right, so your favorite charity or organization you'd like to support?
Human trafficking. Support for human trafficking. Yeah.
Okay, and the last question, the best decade of music, 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
Oh my God. The 70s.
There you go. You and I are like twinsies. That's awesome. So before we cut away here, leave our squad with one knowledge nugget that you want them to take with them. Just one deep one. It could be own your shit, whatever you want to say. But what's one knowledge nugget?
To remember your uniqueness and your purity, and honor your sovereignty of who you came here to be. And when you do have a yes, really own your fuck yes, and shamelessly.
Awesome. Zoe, how can we find you? Everything's going to be in the show notes, but how can we find you?
Usually on LinkedIn is a great way to connect with me and send me a message on there. It's great professional. And my website, which will be on the links, it's probably on LinkedIn. That's the most, because then it's, I can open up a conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You taught me the voicemail. I do it with everybody now. And I've had people say, shit, Fergie, dude, like, I didn't even know I could do it. It's just so much easier. I love it. Love hearing your voice. That's just awesome. Real quick, tell us about the potent blueprints that you have coming out.
So the Potent Blueprint is a program, one for men and one for women. And it basically takes people through an intimate journey with themselves, through their soul, learning how to go into those things that are still blocking the view, healing the inner child, bringing that aspect back into you as your sparkly aspects, because that's who you are. And guiding people with the meditation, with body work, how to turn the energy up in their body, and then towards the end of the program, how to bring that into an intimate connection with the person that you love. And really men remembering that and honoring their masculine they came here to be, and for women, and realizing we're both. So it's learning how to become architects of your own blueprint and being able to have more impact in the world. So I find a lot of the people that I work with, they're then going out and they're finding out what their calling is, which is beautiful.
That's fantastic. I can't wait to get that out to our squad out there. Sounds like every sex, male, female, would really benefit from that. So, all right, squad, we know that when we surround ourselves with great people who stay humble, that stay hungry, that are always leveling up their health, leveling up their wealth, you're going to take it to the next level. I got so many great knowledge nuggets from my friend Zoe today to juice up all your fucking experiences in your life, to surround yourself with people that will help you be the belief in that person that you're trying to be, and to always remember your uniqueness and purity. So Zoe, I'm humbled, grateful. Thank you so much for coming on. And we're all going to tune in to see you everywhere. I'll make sure that you are everywhere. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Fergie. It's a pleasure.
All right, love.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Time to Shine Today podcast, proudly brought to you by Sutter & Nugent Real Estate Excellence, who can be reached at 561-249-7266 and online at www.sutterandnugent.com. If you are a business owner or professional who would like to be interviewed on Time to Shine Today, please visit timetoshinetoday.com/guest. If you like this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to our website. Also there, you will see our recommended resources. We hope that you will support our show by supporting them. If you like what you've been listening to, it'd be great if you could just give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe while you're at it. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, and until next time, let's level up. It's our time to shine.